Hi, welcome to our grade 11 university chemistry class. I'm going to spend several minutes now going over some information that you need to start the course. You are about to embark on a full course in chemistry, and this is a word wall that has several terms that you would have learned in grades 9 and 10 science, particularly in the chemistry units there. We will definitely be recalling that information that you learned in your junior classes as we move into this full course in senior chemistry. There are a few key reasons why we want to study chemistry. The first is that it allows us to improve our way of life. So chemistry can work to make everyone's life easier through the development of new chemicals, new materials, and reactions. It can lead to discoveries and creations that can improve our lives and provide answers to many fundamental questions, such as new medicines, sustainable materials, new fuels. There's all kinds of things that we can use chemistry for to improve the way that we're currently living. We also need to study chemistry to protect our planet. We're living in a very dangerous time in that we are not taking care of the planet, and environmentally, we are not being very good stewards of the earth. And so understanding chemical reactions can help us protect the environment, and it can also alter our human activities. So the way that we consume fuels for vehicles, the way that we consume fuels to heat our homes. We can also, it says chemistry can help with advancements in areas such as energy storage and electric vehicles to protect and preserve the world. We can also change things that we're doing and make it better for the planet. Take some time and some research, and also a bit of a risk for some people to change their ways, but we certainly can do that. And most importantly, chemistry allows us to understand the world. So there's lots of phenomena that happens to you in your day-to-day lives that hopefully throughout this course, we realize why things like that are happening. Why does soap dissolve in water? Why does oil not dissolve in water? How different reactions that we're exposed to. We're going to take a little bit more of an in-depth look and look at the mathematics behind it as well. When you study chemistry in this course, you're going to be doing all these things. Okay, so there's lots of terms here, but I'm just going to comment on a couple things. Problem solve, reason deductively, organize, analyze, communicate, write clearly. Chemistry is going to challenge your brain in a good way, and hopefully make you into a little bit better of a scientist. And if you're not really into the scientist part, at least allow you to think a little bit differently and communicate your ideas. So chemistry is called the central science. And the reason that it is called the central science is because it is a major component in all of the other sciences. And why is that? Well, the reason is the definition is that it is the study of matter. And matter, we know, makes up everything on Earth and in the universe. And when we look at chemistry, we study the changes that are in play, and also the energy associated with those changes. And that is something you haven't really looked at. We're going to look into the energy portion a little bit more in this course. So when we think back to our grades 9 and 10 science courses, these are the topics that we've learned throughout grades 9 and 10. So we talked about matter, its properties and its changes. We talked about the periodic table, the way it's set up. We went over bonding, ionic and covalent bonding. And then from there, we talked about nomenclature, which is coming up with chemical formulas or writing out the names of chemical formulas. We talked about chemical reactions. There's 5 main types, how to balance them. And we also talked about acids and bases, which are groups of types of matter that we frequently are in contact with daily. So as we begin this course in chemistry, we're actually going to spend in the first unit here, we're going to do some review of some of the items that you learned in grades 9 and 10 science. So we're going to study matter again. We're going to review it. We're going to talk about chemical trends in the periodic table. This will be new. And we're going to go over bonding again. And this bonding is going to be a little bit important because we're going to be adding on to it. And this is where we're going to see the way that chemicals behave when they interact with each other and sort of why they do some of the things that they do that we notice day to day. I just don't want to give anything away. too soon yet, but we will definitely be learning some new stuff in this unit and a lot of review as well. Unit 2 is a whole unit, on chemical reactions. And you've learned the 5 types of chemical reactions back in grade 10. You've learned how to balance them. And we're going to do the same things. We're going to review that, but we're going to do, we're going to learn some newer, more specific types of reactions. So there's going to be quite a bit of detail in this unit where you're going to be looking at reactants, and you need to recognize what kind of products get made as a result. Unit 3 is my favorite unit because it is talking about the mathematical side of chemical reactions. So we're going to be looking at reactions like this. This is a combustion reaction right here. And now these coefficients that we place in front of our reactants or products, even if there is no coefficient, we know that there's a coefficient of 1. They're going to be instrumental in us to help us predict the amounts of reactants we need, the amount of products we might make as chemical reactions take place. And it's a great unit because you will actually predict how much product you should make in a reaction, and then we'll carry out that reaction, and then we'll compare to see how close you get to what is expected. Our 4th unit focuses on solutions. So this is a big part of matter, right? So when we talk about the classification of matter, solutions is 1/2 of matter. One is pure substances, and the other is solutions. So we're going to look at solutions mostly in the liquid form, and we're going to learn about concentration and dilution and more reactions in the math involved with that. And we also look a little bit more into acids and bases, which are, again, solutions that we use in our daily lives. The last unit that we get to is on gas chemistry. So hopefully we have enough time. Sometimes we're a bit pressed to finish everything, but we will talk about the behavior of gases, and we're going to talk about the relationship of it between pressure and volume and temperature and the amount of gas. If we have time, we might get into some atmospheric chemistry where we talk about air quality. But mostly we're just going to talk about the way gases behave and learn a little bit more about them. So are there learning strategies for chemistry? And there are. You cannot complete a course in chemistry without having to do some extra work. Okay, so you probably are aware of this already. We're going to teach you lessons as we move through. And when we teach you a lesson, you're going to have to do some practice problems. You have to. Okay, very few people that I have taught can grasp something from one lesson and never have to practice it again and get perfect on any kind of test or quiz or exam. We learn a bunch of new terms. So you have to understand what the vocabulary terms are. And we don't really like memorizing. Okay, in chemistry, it does not help us. You cannot memorize your way through a chemistry class. It just doesn't work. So what we want to do is we want to understand things, and we want to look for patterns. We want to, supplement our lessons as much as possible. So maybe you want to read a textbook. Definitely you should be getting help from me and asking me questions, studying all of your notes when the time comes that you need to. And again, practicing. Okay, this is a big thing with chem. It is different than biology. It's probably a little bit more similar to physics in terms of the practice that is needed and involved to master the content. I have a few class rules that I want to be followed. So the first one, absolutely, is please do not come to my class late. If you do, you will get a detention. Also, please be in full uniform every day. I check this. You may sneak by me and I maybe don't see it at first, but eventually I will notice and I will ask you to get into full uniform. If I am talking at the front of the class or if somebody's asking me a question, this is just basic manners to please not speak when somebody else is talking. I want you to be honest and responsible all the time. Okay, so this is not really a class rule. This is, again, about being a good person, and lying and blaming others for times where we drop the ball is just not acceptable. And it's not a good way to be, right? We think less of people when we realize something like that has happened. We don't need our cell phones in here at all. You need a Chromebook for sure, or a laptop. You do not need a cell phone. Please don't bring them to class. The breakdown of our course is similar to other 3U science classes. Knowledge and understanding is 45%. So this will make up all the little tests that we do all semester. Inquiry will be based on any lab work that we do, so 25%. And then while we mark your labs, or if you do any kind of research assignment, this is where your communication and your application marks will come from. Your final 30% is made up of an independent lab study, so some sort of lab exam or lab task that you will do, and then you have a final exam worth 20%. So I do not accept late assignments, late labs, late research assignments, anything like that that is assigned to you. We talk about due dates. I set reasonable due dates, but every once in a while, you know, life happens and things come up. You guys are granted 2 extra day passes that you can use throughout the semester at your discretion, where you get an extra free day. Okay, so if something's assigned and you know, like, this weekend is terrible coming up, you're never going to have enough time to finish it, and you need an extra day, all you have to do is tell me ahead of time, not the day that it is due, that you need an extra day, and that is totally fine. If you hand anything in late, I take off 5%. I also want to comment on plagiarism. Okay, so any work that you do in my class should be done by you individually. Okay, and this includes any kind of research assignment. So we think of that initially, right? That we don't want to copy and paste off the internet and try to pass off somebody else's information as our own. But we also don't want to copy and paste our neighbor's work. Okay, so if you and a friend are doing a lab together, you need to have different answers. You should be able to talk about the lab and talk about the answers together. But when I go to read your particular answer, it should be written differently and worded in your own words compared to your neighbors. I am very picky about this, and I watch for this. Okay, so please be aware. And again, if you choose to plagiarize, because it is totally a choice, you'll be required to redo the assignment or something alternative. And a penalty may be assigned. The office might get involved, depending on the severity of it. Okay, so that is an overview of our course and the expectations, either by me and then maybe, for you, as to what you can expect from it. And now I want you to fill out the course information sheet.